Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button and turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm saying a very big shout out to every one of you for the love, the support you all shower me here with. I am grateful that you all are super sweet. So today we'll be talking something very important, but before we get into this video, I am going to say that it is the audacity of them coming out to say this thing publicly and thinking that people are going to take it lightly. I mean, people aren't finding it funny because people who stole from other people are coming out to tell people to return what they stole from them. And I don't know how I feel, but trust the internet to do their thing. I mean, British Museum are calling on people to return, help them return the stolen artifacts. I mean, people stole from the museum and all that. And I am asking, what did they steal? Because probably people took back the things they stole from them. And the fact that some of the things they stole from people, the artifacts they stole from people, they end up, they've been loaning the same artifact to people. And when they loan you, they can imagine they expect you to also return the same artifact. I mean, everybody's saying that whatever you are looking for is right in that museum. Like nobody stole anything from you because you all stole them from people. Am I going to tell you that the things they stole from Nigeria alone, from Benin, from the Yorubas, are still all in their museum today chilling, and they have the nerves to come out to say that we should people should start return what they stole from. Can you imagine the oppressor acting like a victim? I mean, people were not having it. People were not having it. And a lot of people actually came out, and I'm just gonna roll this clip. We'll come back to talk about it. I absolutely want to read all your comments. Let me know what you're thinking in the comment section. So straight up, let's get into this video.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items. In August, the
I actually can help with this one. I know exactly where you can find a whole bunch of stolen items. If you actually go into the storage rooms in the British Museum, you'll find a whole bunch of stuff that was stolen right from Africa. You should give that back.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
So my thing is, the thieves have been thieved by some other thieves because they were the original thieves stealing from other people? So is it thievery upon thievery? Is that correct?
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
Of all the things that God has created, I think karma might just be his most ingenious invention. Because the fact that thieves who have perpetuated violence, death, erasure, and destruction over centuries and all across the planet just got robbed is crazy. And then the fact that y'all would even ask us to help you recover these items is insane. Because we've been asking you to return them back to where they belong for years. And it's been quiet, no back talk. Now you're talking about help us, we've been robbed. No! All I can do is hope that these items are returned back to the original owners. And for those who are no longer alive, at least it can be given to the ancestors of those people for safekeeping. As for the British government, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Y'all are the original perpetuators of colonialism and white supremacy, and you continue to perpetuate these systems to this day. A bit of advice, since y'all keep getting robbed now, you should probably keep a good eye on those crown jewels.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
The ones that are still in the museum? Or is it going to be like a scavenger hunt? Not that it sounds like the turns have tabled, ain't they? How can you steal something that was already stolen to begin with? I'm just like, another question for the philosophers, you know? Can you really rob a thief? Maybe. If it was insured, can you insure things that were stolen?
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
Mark Zuckerberg wants your help in finding out which of his employees stole $20 out of his wallet. The American police force wants your help in fighting institutional racism and systemic abuses of power and domestic violence. Jason Statham wants your help in identifying who keeps making him be in all these shitty movies. Jeffrey Dahmer wants your help in finding out who killed all these fucking people.
Find a bunch of stolen items.
Now I just know the British Museum of Stolen Items ain't asking for people to help them track down stolen items. I just know the British Museum of Stolen Items, the place that refuses to repatriate stolen items back to their rightful owners, ain't asking for help in tracking down stolen items. I know the British Museum of Stolen Items, who to this day still benefits off of stolen items, ain't asking for people to help them track down the items that they done stole themselves. Now I know the British Museum of Stolen Items, who would steal the fucking pyramids if they could fit them in the building, ain't trying to accuse nobody of stealing nothing. Come on now.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
So you gonna break in my house, steal my TV, my laptop, and my kids, drop your wallet somewhere along the route between my house and back to your lair, and gonna come knock on my door the next day and ask me to help you find your wallet? Are y'all crazy? Cause what? How about karma is a motherfucker, and y'all should start at returning the millions of pieces of stolen artwork that y'all have from around the world. Just start there. And then maybe a good Samaritan will show up and bring those other items back to you. I mean, we don't care. We don't care.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of...
Right the fuck here. All that shit. All of it. Right here. So it's been here for a minute too. Y'all should, you should give that Indian boy his shit.
Museum in London reported around 2,000 artifacts were missing.
I've seen lots of videos that point out the irony. That's not where I'm going with this video. The petty in me does have to point out, though, that one of the primary reasons they offer for not repatriating items like these is the idea of keeping them safe. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, nobody noticed 2,000 items going missing. Anybody cut that insurance check yet? Just saying, just saying. They identified the person of fire, but not the person that has the stuff. Interesting. Anybody check the Hobby Lobby warehouse? Oops, well, I'm not supposed to say that out loud.
Hey, it's us, the British Museum. We kind of need your help. Need our help? Our help with what? So we kind of fired somebody and we noticed that like 2,000 items are missing. So we kind of need the public's help to help us find the items. Didn't y'all steal all that stuff though? We like to say obtained. You stole it. We obtained it. So you want us to help recover items that y'all stole that was stolen from y'all. Items that we obtained that were then stolen from us. Yes. How you a thief and you get robbed? We aren't thieves. Then give back all them artifacts that y'all stole. We obtained the artifacts. Are you going to help us? Honestly, no, because the way things are looking now, if I find an ancient artifact, I'm selling it on eBay.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen...
They are in the British Museum. That is where the stolen items are. I know there's no way I'm the first person to make this joke, but I wanted to reinforce it.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
They want us to do what now? My, what an interesting situation we have found ourselves in. So the British Museum would like help relocating some stolen artifacts. Twould be a shame if these happened to be artifacts that ended up returning to their original peoples. Twould be a shame. They need help. All it would take is some radical person who would be like, okay, you need help, I'll help. Let me go find these things and get them back to where they're supposed to go. Would be a shame if this presented an opportunity to address the British Museum and the rematriation and repatriation of artifacts and remains. Indeed, yes, quite.
Help to find a bunch of stolen items.
I found them right here in room 26 in the Native North American display. There appears to be a paddle which you claim to have found in Quebec and Maine. Do you know that we're not the same place? Also, let's talk about why these people don't live here anymore. Would your cousins know anything about that? Give us our boat back! Yes, you also have a boat. Look at it! Does that look British to you? 1984? You were looting us in 1984? What?
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
I mean, if the world's foremost thief of cultural artifacts, the British Museum, can't figure it out, what makes you think we can?
The British Museum has been called the world's largest receiver of stolen goods, and a lot of you have been asking, how do they get away with it? Colonialism. The British Museum has been offering to loan stolen artifacts to the countries they belong to. So here's what you've been asking. What happens if an origin country borrows their stolen artifacts but then doesn't return them? The answer lies in British law, specifically the British Museum Act of 1963. That 60-year-old law actually forbids the British Museum from returning stolen artifacts. So British law made it illegal to give looted treasures back to the people they looted from. The British Museum website even states its wholehearted commitment to respectful collaboration worldwide to sharing and lending the collection. In other words, maintaining its colonial legacy. Next, you commented, return the Moai to Easter Island. Okay, so what are the Moai? These massive stone artifacts are called Moai, and they're from Easter Island. They were created by Rapa Nui carvers around the early 11th century. They were placed inland to watch over the local community, and they represent the faces of their ancestors. But in 1868, the British stole the Moais. 20 years later, the island was annexed by Chile. One of the two artifacts is called Ho'ahakananaia, meaning lost or stolen friend. It's exhibited in the museum and could be around 1,000 years old. The other one is known as Moai Hava, also translated as lost. It's made of volcanic tuff, a type of stone, and isn't even currently on display. In 2018, the Rapa Nui community wrote a written request for the return of the two Moais. And the museum's response? It acknowledged the impact of the removal, but guess what? It didn't return them. Take a look at this page on the British Museum website. This is so interesting. It's called Contested Objects from the Collection, which lists items from its museum collection that were stolen and have been requested by their country of origin. The British Museum knows it has stuff that belong to other people, but it's holding on to them. So what other stolen objects at the British Museum have you been asking about? Let's take a look at this comment. The only reason that the pyramids of Giza were not in the British Museum is because they are too heavy to steal. So because they couldn't take the pyramids, they decided to take the remains of people and mummies instead. And whether or not human remains should be stored and displayed in museums has long been at the center of an ethical debate. But that hasn't stopped the British Museum from housing over 6,000 human remains. The British Museum says that it displays skeletal remains, bones, natural and intentionally mummified remains to help inform visitors about the past. Most of the Egyptian antiquities came to the museum when Egypt was colonized by Britain in the early 1800s. The museum has over 100,000 artifacts from Egypt, which includes more than 80 mummies, housing the world's largest collection of Egyptian antiquities outside of Egypt. You've also been asking about some of the most contested items in the museum. The Parthenon pieces. These are actually the world's most disputed museum items. Masterpieces of Greek art from the Temple of Athena in Athens, made in the 5th century. The sculptures were stolen more than 200 years ago from Greece by the British ambassador Lord Elgin. Elgin was the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire and was able to get permission to remove the sculptures. And when he brought them back to Britain, it was deemed acceptable by the Parliament. And the moment they were sold to the British Museum, their removal became illegal under British law. In 1983, Greece made a formal request for the sculptures to be permanently returned. After years of dispute, for the first time, Britain may lend the sculptures back to Greece, but only under a long-term loan agreement, to be exhibited in the Acropolis Museum. Former UN war crimes judge and human rights advocate Geoffrey Robertson previously stated that the British Museum should wash its hands of blood and return Elgin's loot. His book called Who Owns History dives into the reality on the need to return property taken without consent by colonizers throughout history, specifically over the debate of the Elgin Marbles. Even though we've covered 8 stolen artifacts by the British Museum across 2 videos, there are millions more representing the legacy of British colonialism. Welcome to the British Museum, home to a lot of things that aren't British. There are at least 8 million objects inside here, and 99% of them aren't even on display. They're kept away from the public in private storerooms. Here are 5 objects in the museum that are used to attract millions of visitors every year. First is Egypt's Rosetta Stone, which is one of the museum's most famous objects and has been at the center of demands to be returned. It was the key that helped us understand ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The Rosetta Stone was taken by Napoleon Bonaparte's army from Egypt in 1799 and then taken by the British in 1801 after they defeated the French. These are Nigeria's Benin bronzes. They were among the thousands of stolen sculptures by British colonial forces in 1897 as they invaded the Kingdom of Benin, today known as Nigeria. They ended up in the US, Germany, Austria, and here at the British Museum. There are over 900 objects from the Kingdom of Benin in the collection. At the end of 2018, the British Museum said it would only loan some of the looted bronzes to Nigeria, but still expects Nigeria to return them. Next is the Yoruba stool, thought to be the first artifact that Britain stole from Nigeria while colonizing the region. The museum displays it as collected by British explorer Richard Lemon Lander. They even changed its name to celebrate the man who stole it. It's now called the Lander stool. This is Ghana's Akan drum, the earliest African-American object in the British Museum, which was stolen from Virginia during the British colonization of North America, but its roots go back much further. It's thought that a craftsperson from the Akan people made it in what is now Ghana or Cote d'Ivoire more than 300 years ago. Drums were played during the transatlantic slave trade, where enslaved Africans were forced to dance during their long and dangerous journey to North America and the Caribbean. Their colonizers would make them dance to keep them fit for the forced labor. And lastly, we have Jamaica's Birdman, a symbolic historical artifact originating from Jamaica that has become the focus of restitution by the Jamaican government. The carved birdman was made by the Taino people, who were one of the indigenous inhabitants of the Caribbean when Europeans invaded in the 15th century. The Taino people did not survive the arrival of European settlers and were wiped out within a century because of famine and illness. Birdman, which isn't even on display, was found in a cave in 1792. A private art dealer kept it at his home in South London, where it eventually ended up at the British Museum following his death. Since then, the museum has lent it to Japan, Spain, and France, but that international adventure has missed one important location: Birdman's birthplace in Jamaica. There are a lot more objects we wanted to include, but we couldn't fit everything in this video, so let us know what we should look at next.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
Yes, we've all seen the memes, and yes, it's all in the British Museum. Ha ha ha. That being said, the stuff that they're looking for, especially the Roman stuff, the Romans were in Britain, so some of that stuff might have been found in Britain, except for probably that one Greek thing in there. Despite the circumstances in which most of the stuff that came from other countries got to the British Museum, which I totally, absolutely agree, not cool. I remember being there in 2014, 2015. The angry religious people in Iraq had just destroyed a bunch of Assyrian artifacts in the museum in Iraq. And I saw a lot of Iraqi people at the British Museum looking at the Assyrian gates and statues and stuff. A lot of Iraqi people in England felt very fortunate that there was still stuff from their culture that was safe.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items.
I need everyone to look past the obvious joke for a minute. The British Museum refuses to repatriate a lot of objects because they insist they're protecting those objects, and that their own collection is the safest place, and that those items will be lost or stolen or damaged if they were returned to their country of origin. Their argument for not repatriating objects just fell apart.
So this is all I got from the stitches. I mean, there are so many short clips to read. Like, you know, a lot of people were kind of very surprised that people who stole from so many people are asking people to help them return, like, you know, what they have stolen from them. Or I just do not, I think it is the audacity, like, you know, that they got to have, like, you know, come out to say this thing, like, you know, openly. I don't even know where to start from, because what they stole from Nigeria, I mean, they stole a whole lot from Nigeria. Benin, the ones they took from the Yorubas and all that. They're all in their museum. And Nigerians, they've been calling them all out to return all those they stole. They ended up loaning some and saying that they are going to return the rest. Till this very moment, nothing has been returned. And there are people that stole from people are telling people to return what they stole. Like, are you being for real right now? And not just only Nigeria, they stole so many artifacts from so many people. I mean, most of the countries they colonized and all, they stole so many things. So you can imagine the colonial masters telling the colonized to return what they like. It's just amazing how they are proud to come out to tell people. I mean, starting from, almost everything in that museum, every damn thing, they stole it. They stole all of them from people. And why did they not steal the pyramid? Because it was too heavy that it couldn't fit. That was why they left the pyramid. So if not, the pyramid would also be in that museum. And wait, who exactly will help them? If I find anyone, I am selling it straight up and use the money. Like, it is just the gods, Some people are just like, yeah, why would they have the gods when they are the masters, But then, it's just crazy seeing them call people out to help them return what they stole, or why everything in that museum, the artifacts are all stolen from people they colonized and all that. Man, I really don't have a lot to say, but it's really amazing how oppressors are acting up like they are the victims and all that. And this is what they've been. This is actually not what they know how to do best. This is where I am going to draw the curtain. Thank you so much for the support. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.